Welcome back. Our state or level of wellness is not static, especially as we age. Sometimes we even put work and caring for others before ourselves. It is never too late to make good change where necessary. Mrs. Ndidi here is a certified coach and the founder of Unveil Holistic Center. She talks about healing.
It is important to heal from trauma. If an individual experiences an event, occurrence, or trauma in any form or manner and does not heal from it, it will have long and profound lasting impact on the mental well-being and physical well-being of the individual. So healing from trauma is absolutely important. We have to understand that we have two types of trauma, and the two types demand healing. We've got physical trauma, like an accident, an illness, or violence, that demands healing. We have psychological or emotional trauma. And for the event of this episode, we will be looking at psychological or emotional trauma. There are therapies that can be used for this. The most important and the first is acceptance. The road to healing starts with acceptance. When somebody is in denial about what has happened to them or what they're going through, it is not possible to heal the person. But when they accept, that is acknowledgement, the next step is to seek professional help. And that is very accessible because as a therapist who is trained in trauma would use certain therapies such as trauma-focused therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectic behavioral therapy, anger management, and other therapies to help the person to healing and to recovery. So, acceptance. Then you seek a therapist. The next phase is understanding your triggers. As you work with your therapist or your counselor, you will acquire skills, one of which is the therapist will help you to reframe the experience you went through. And you would understand what the triggers to you is. For instance, if somebody survives a plane crash, for any time they see an airplane or they approach an airport or they hear the sound of an airplane, it will set off a trigger. They will go into crisis. If somebody ever witnesses bank robbery, every time they see a bank logo, it's going to trigger them. But as you work with your mental health, your therapist or your counselor, they're going to teach you how to understand these triggers and what to do when the triggers arise, which is when you go into crisis. The next step is practicing mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness is being aware of who your interests, who you are, and knowing who you are. One of the tools for mindfulness is yoga, meditation, deep breathing, journaling. All these things help you when you are in crisis as you're on a journey to healing or recovery. So, what is deep breathing, for instance? It's something you can do anywhere. But the thing about healing is it's intentional. You either want to heal or you don't want to heal. If somebody is serious about healing, the tools that can be used with the person might not even be expensive. Deep healing is something, it's a gift you have. What is it? Deep breathing. Breathing you relax yourself wherever you are. It can be practiced anywhere, in your office, in the car, anywhere. You breathe in for 4 seconds. You hold it for 4 seconds. You exhale for another 8 seconds. Do this a couple of times and you find yourself calming down. What does journaling do? You write down your experiences. It might be for you alone. Write down your experiences, your feelings. We all have to own our feelings. You write down what you expect from yourself day to day, little small steps, where you want to be in the next week, in the next month, how you see yourself in the future, your future self. You can put that all down into that. It gives you hope. It calms you. It reduces anxiety and stress. Then you've got self-care. Self-care is absolutely important. When I talk self-care, I don't mean going to the salon or doing your nails. Those are beautiful. Those are grooming. Those you do to nurture yourself. But self-care is something you add to your substance, intrinsic value, like reading. Like, what do you put into this beautiful body that God has given us? Prioritizing your sleep, healthy food, movement, exercise. We know that movement, when you are exercising, you secrete feel-good hormones called endorphins. And these hormones make you actually feel good. So, these are tools one can use on a journey of healing. Also, you need to seek out a support group. Support could be social. You have your pastors, you have your imams, you also have your friends. There's peer support group where you have people of like manner who've probably experienced the same trauma that you have experienced. In that zone, it's no judgment. There's empathy, there's compassion, there's understanding. And when people come together to heal, the success rate is actually very high. Then the last one, which is very important, is to avoid negative coping mechanism. A lot of people, instead of seeking healing, would resort, for instance, let's say you have an unexpected breakup with your boyfriend and you're heartbroken. Instead of talking it out with friends and supportive family members, we know people who just go on, okay, my heart has been broken. I'm going to break as many hearts as possible. They go off on a tangent and start sleeping with men or women recklessly. They are not hurting their partner, they are hurting themselves. Some people choose to go on drugs or go on excessive alcohol consumption, or even some people resort to comfort with food. These will only exacerbate your mental health issues and hinder your recovery.
Now, how well do you cater for your physical and mental well-being? Stay with us.
During healing and even after healing, there should be more expectation on the person who's supporting the person being healed, because and that is just to be there for the person being healed. You have to be able to listen attentively, because sometimes on the journey to healing, they might want to talk. They have a tendency to express themselves, talk about what happened. The person supporting would have to be patient and listen. Most of us feel that we have to talk. Sometimes when we visit someone who's bereaved, we just want to keep talking. Oh, it's okay. God knows best. Don't worry. He's in heaven. No. Even if the person knows that that's not what they want to hear at that time. Your being there, your physical presence is enough to support the person. There are things you can do to support somebody who is healing. Not just talk. They want you to listen. They want you to be patient with them, because healing is not linear. We don't have a time frame, and healing varies from person to person. Somebody might heal from loss of a parent, in depending on the relationship they had with their parents, or how strong and resilient they are, they might heal from it in a space of months or a year. I personally lost my mother 14 years ago. I didn't recover from the grief till I did work 7 years after. It took that long because I was particularly extremely close to my mother. Her loss was deep. And people would say things, oh, but it's been 7 years. And I look at them like, you're very insensitive. I might not say to them, but that was exactly how I felt. But I had to do the work to grieve. And I understand that what you can do for somebody who's healing is compassion, empathy, support, love, patience, and not judgment. Do not put them, rush them, and think, oh, you have to give this alcohol up in no time. You don't give anybody who's recovering time. They have to work at their own pace. Your job is to support them. That will go a long way to help them in their recovery journey. But in doing all that, you also encourage them to seek support, to seek help, professional help. Where they are already seeking professional help, you encourage them to sustain it. In doing all this, you have to also take care of yourself. Even as a counselor, I have a counselor. Because when people dump on me, I need to find somebody to dump on as well. So the person who's healing might not be in a position to expect anything. All they want is probably to feel better. With our support, they will get there. Recovery is guaranteed. In every area of our lives, support is extremely important. More so when somebody is distressed. There's a saying that alone you can go far, you can go fast, but together we go far. When somebody is recovering or is in healing, process of healing, and they have support, the right support, the tendency for success in their recovery is high, as opposed to somebody without support. When you show support, or the person healing has support, it helps them not to feel alone and isolated. We are interconnected. And when people believe in you, it helps to also for you to believe in yourself. So support is extremely important, especially on this journey. Healing is a journey. Life is a journey. One thing we must realize is healing is not linear. There's no time frame. Healing varies from person to person. We all react to things differently. Sometimes people have experienced trauma. The trauma might present or manifest immediately. Sometimes it takes time, years, months, before the trauma starts to manifest. So you don't actually expect that healing will be a one-off. It is incremental. You have to sustain it. You have to work on it. And even when the person has recovered, you really don't recover, but you acquire skills to cope. After I lost my mom, I lost my dad 3 years later. I coped better with the loss of my dad because I had acquired skills to cope. Then when I went into mental health, and I learned a lot about grief and existential issues, life, it's helped me more than anything else to see life and death in a totally different perspective. And that is why I am helping people to go through that. And in doing so, one attribute you must possess is patience. You can't rush this journey because sometimes somebody who's healing might seem to be doing good. A client who is trying to come off alcohol addiction might be doing good. And one day, his birthday, friends take him out. He's exposed to alcohol. Everybody's drinking. He can't help it. He starts drinking with them. And from them, he starts drinking. He goes back. What do you do with such a person? Do you write him off at that time? No, you don't. It is expected that there will be a time when the person will be stuck or the healing process will be stagnant. That is where you encourage, you support, and you hold the light for the person, encouraging them that you know they can do this. You have to have compassion and empathy in the journey of healing. So it's not a one-off, it's progressive. If you do not heal from an event or from trauma, it predisposes you to psychological problems, mental, emotional, and physical. People look at journey of mental health, especially in Nigeria, as it is elitist. It's not, because you have churches who are offering these services free of charge. You must have family members who will support you, give you hope at a time like this. If you don't have that, it's easy to give up.